I'm Matt Bouchard with REIT.com here in Chicago for REITWeek 2013. Joining me for this CEO Spotlight is Gary Wojtaszek, President and CEO of CyrusOne. Gary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, your company's been operating in the data center space for more than a decade now, but the sector as a whole has really started to kind of catch investors' attention. What do you think is really driving the market interest?
Two things. I think from a real estate perspective, we're probably one of the fastest growing asset classes out there. And a lot of people didn't really understand the story, and as they start digging into this, they realize that there's two broad secular trends that are just in their infancy. One is an explosion of data, and the second, parallel with that is an increase in willingness from enterprise companies to outsource their data centers to providers like us.
Are most data centers owned by larger public companies like CyrusOne, or are there a number of small players in the market that could be ripe for consolidation?
Yeah, the number one competitor in the space is the Fortune 500 CIO, who is managing his own data centers. That comprises 90% of the market today. That is our focus, and we're trying to basically convince them to do something that they've never done in their career, and that's trust us to manage their most critical assets.
And obviously, I think everyone is aware of the drivers that are fueling all the demand for these data centers. Now, what are your plans for acquisitions and developments, and how rapidly do you have to ramp up to meet with this growing demand?
Well, trying to stay ahead of demand has always been a challenge for us. We've been growing, over 20% a year, and this is all organic. We've been the fastest growing data center company in the space, and that creates a significant number of challenges for us. We've been trying to get out in front of that demand by developing many properties around the country. And we're finally, at the point now where we could take a breather. We've got enough capacity available to meet that demand. The challenge, though, is that the amount of data that is being created in the world is actually accelerating. So as you look today, all the data that exists in the world today, 90% of that was created in the last 2 years. It is going to double again in about 18 months. So that creates a huge logistical challenge for the Fortune 500 CIOs about where do you manage that? Where do you reside? Where does all that data reside? And that's the need that we're trying to fill. So, going public, and we IPO'd recently this year. I think we've been one of the most successful IPOs this year. One of the big reasons for that is we needed a lot of additional capital to fund that growth. We've been accelerating our capital investment in all the markets we're currently at and expanding into new markets as we follow our customers. In addition to that, we think there's going to be opportunities to acquire some smaller operators in the space and just increase our portfolio.
Gary, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
For more on this and other REIT news and analysis, be sure to visit REIT.com.